Hey, it's Brett. I'm gonna do a lesson for a really nice song. I was looking for songs to feel inspired by, and track 3 from Elliott Smith's first album um, is called No Name Number One, and I've liked this song for a while. It's just got like a good energy to it, even though it's depressing lyrics, and which I guess is true for a lot of his songs. But I'm gonna play it. I'm just gonna teach the first verse because it's the same thing through the rest of the song, and I can make a video later, like playing the whole thing through. Um, so I'm gonna show two ways that I'm doing it. Like I'm gonna show the way I would actually perform it myself. So here we go. I don't have all the lyrics memorized, so I'm gonna have to read them, but. So the rest of the song, he repeats it, and then at the end, he does like the high part. But I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna show like something I would interpret different. And so on the album track, he actually has like between 3 and 4 different parts going. There's a drum track, and then the chords are like just like really simple, like. And then he's got like this sort of. He on the whole album, it's interesting. Like he does like this kind of tremolo. This is called tremolo. He does it through the whole album, and I wish I knew why he did that, like where that was coming from. It adds like a cool tone through the whole album. He does it in different ways, and then the main riff is actually like. It's like a separate track, but when he plays it live, you can find some videos of him doing it live. He just does the chords. And in one of the performances in Switzerland that's on YouTube, he plays it in a slightly different key. And I think when he goes up higher with the vocals, he actually drops it down. Like, he doesn't sing up even higher. So the song's in the key of C major. The chords in C major are, the one chord is C, A minor, C, D minor is the 2 chord, E minor is the 3 chord, F is the 4, G or G7, A minor is the 6, and then B diminished or F diminished, and C. So what he's doing is kind of interesting. I've actually never seen this chord progression on any other song I can think of. He does like a 1, 6 is super common, 4 super common, and then he goes to the 2. Which the 2 actually is like a substitute for the G7. And then in the middle, he uses the G to the G7 to like get the 5 from the major to the dominant, which is a very like strong feeling and used in tons of songs. And then when you go back to the 1, it has like a resolve feeling. So this is like just a different, slightly different vibe for. To me, it's kind of a substitute for the dominant 7. Basically what you do is you strum like. So you strum and then you hit the your pinky, so it's a C. Make sure you're muting here. The next one's a little bit hard, but it's A minor with the D. And then what I do on the next one, I do an F like this. And move my pinky off. So this is the F with no F in the root. It's 3, 3, 2, 1. But actually, what I have started doing is just playing without the pinky. It's kind of weird. There's no F in the chord, but it still sounds like F. And the reason why I'm doing that is if you listen carefully, he's going like this is the bass. He hits the C in the root, in the bass. And then he goes to the D. And then he goes. So I'm trying to hit the bass notes. If I was just strumming it, I might do it like with the F here if I wanted a different note in the bass. So C with the D toggle. A. F, I would do it like this or like this, but you still gotta go. And then D minor is an easy chord. It's just 0, 2, 3, 1. And then before you go to C at the last second, you hit B. So here we go. It's like. The hammer-on, like what he does is he goes like, the first time he goes, and the A minor, he does it faster. Listen, it's like. F. Then as he sings, he actually doesn't do it faster on the A minor, he just goes. It's like 1, 2, dun, dun, dun. And then the verse part, when it's like, saint like with your warning, he goes G, G7, which is a common thing to do. It builds tension when you go to the 7 chord from the 5 chord, and then you make it a 7. And so it's like, saint like with your warning, and then he goes to F, A minor, F, G, and back to the thing. And then later in the song, at the end, he does that same chord progression a whole bunch of times in the same melody. So that's really it. It's an easy song. It sounds super cool. But again, on the album, he has like 3 different guitar tracks. But like playing it live, here's what I've been playing around with. I think this sounds cooler, so watch. I'm going to go from, well, the first part, the verse, I do the same, but the saint-like part, watch this. I think this is more interesting, and it sounds more like the whole vibe of the album. So a lot of times you're going to play something by yourself. You got to figure out how to make it sound different, because like you could play one part, or you could play like you could smush the different parts together. So listen. Saint like with your warning, leave alone, don't belong here. So notice what I did. I went up higher because in the background he goes like, Saint. Does that tremolo thing he does in like every song on the album pretty much. He does it in different ways, but he's hitting this one. So if you move the voicings up, it sounds cooler. I can't really play this on this nylon. It's very easy, so I'm just playing the top. So instead of G here, so I go Saint like up to this G. So this G is, here's 8th fret. This is a triad. And then I do an F bar chord on 8 with the A major shape bar chord. So it's 8, 10, 10, 10, 8. It's critical to have this note. And A minor. So it's critical to have this note because it's the background track. And then he does. So I do the G here. It sounds really cool. and then you get more of the dynamic range. And somebody asked on one of my videos a while ago, like singing tips. So I never sing this high, like when I'm making my own songs, which is cool. That's why I like to learn other people's songs to like push myself into some new stuff. So one thing, like, and I think he does this in the live version. A lot of times when I'm forced to sing high, I'll just drop it an octave. So watch this. Saint like with your warning, leave alone. So instead of going up, I just dropped it down. But if you had like a capo, and then the whole thing was higher, you won't notice it as much. Right there, it sounds kind of too low. But the other thing I do is I'll like figure out the vocal melody. So I'll do it like a saint like. It helps me to learn the part with your warning. Wait, saint like with. Yeah, so it's like I'll figure it out on my guitar, and then it helps me to sing it like the first few times to make sure I'm doing it right. So it's like saint like with your warning, leave alone, you don't belong here. Da, 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 This is just looping it, which he does at the end of the song. And then at the very, very end of the song, he goes, which is a super common thing to do. So at the very end of the song, he's like, slip out quiet, nobody's looking, leave alone, don't belong here. And then he goes. So that's like super, super common thing to do. So it's G, A, B, C. And there's two ways you could do it. You could just do like, here's the most common. You go G, G, A, B, C. Or you could go. If you want to go up to this C. G, A, B. 5, 7. So yeah, so like the more subtle things with this song was like the bass. Like in the chords, and then how to do this with that in mind. And really, the rest of the song's pretty basic, but how to sing up higher or whatever is tricky. But then I really like that interpretation that I came up with. I think is cool. Like if you're performing this live, it would have more energy and it would sound cooler. It would sound like the real album, even though that's not what he's playing. So like that's what's kind of tricky when you're turning it in, because you could have somebody else playing this in the background. A little tremolo thing. It'd be kind of weird though live, with just one person doing that. It makes more sense on like a studio track. But I did want to say though, just in terms of what the song's like about, I think it's interesting. Like I find this song makes me feel like happy, but the lyrics are very sad. And like I said, I think that's part of what Elliott Smith does a lot. He turns like negative experiences, but this song really reminds me of like early 20s. So I wonder how old he was when he wrote this. This album was 1994. So Elliott, I need to watch the documentary about Elliott Smith. He was born in 69. So, oops. So he was probably like, he was like 25. So that sounds about right. I was gonna, like, for me, this song totally reminds me of like being in your early 20s, like the themes. But he had some good imagery in the lyrics that I liked. Like the underwater and the spooky withdrawn, you see like this type of person. But then like this mighty mother image is cool. So it's kind of got like this religious imagery. It kind of reminded me of like like Indian, like the Indian sort of figures with many arms. And then the lyric about like somebody else's daughter and the shame stuff sounds pretty good. And then the other thing I like about it kind of has like this swinging, like the song feels like this to me, like bam, ba-da-na-na-na, dun, dun. It like swings kind of, and then it goes up. So like I think a lot of times of songs as like shapes kind of. Like I like Modest Mouse songs because they're weird. They're just like linear lines a lot of times, which most songs aren't. This one's like dun 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 dun, the whole thing, and then it goes dun 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 dun, and then it kind of builds up, which is cool. So overall, I think it's one of the real catchy songs on that album, and I've just been listening to that album a lot. I like to listen to artists like first albums, like the first one, maybe the first, second, and third albums, because I feel like as they get further along in their career, they like get feedback and they like become a weird version of themselves because they've like they've like realized this is what people like about me, and then they just keep doing that a lot of times. But the early albums, sometimes a little more pure, even if it's less produced and less polished. But I'm going to be listening. So I'm going to go through his other albums. I'm going to be listening for that like tremolo thing. If you listen to this whole first album, listen for this tremolo sort of sound. Sometimes he does it with distortion. It sounds very cool. Like I said, I'd be curious like where that was coming from. Like if he heard it somewhere, if he just was into that technique at the time, or why he was doing that. But it sort of adds like a little bit of a fill to it, like more fills out the sound, and it also adds like tension sometimes in some of his tracks, which is cool. So anyway, that's it. Thanks.